Honestly, a workplace is just a building full of adults who still bring all of their unhealed stuff, insecurities, habits, and ego with them. A paycheck doesn't automatically make people emotionally mature. A lot of the backstabbing and childish behavior comes from a few common things: insecurity and competition. Some people feel threatened by others, by their work ethic, personality, experience, or even how well liked they are. Instead of dealing with that feeling in a healthy way, it can come out as gossip, exclusion, or trying to make someone else look bad. Poor leadership, this one is huge. When management tolerates drama, favoritism, cliques, or disrespect, it spreads. People often follow what is allowed, not what is right. If leaders don't set a tone of professionalism, the workplace can start to feel like high school all over again. Stress and burnout, people under pressure sometimes become short tempered, passive aggressive, or emotionally reactive. It doesn't excuse bad behavior, but stress can absolutely bring out the worst in people. Lack of emotional growth, age, and maturity are not always the same thing. Some adults never learned healthy communication, accountability, or conflict resolution. So instead of having direct conversations, they may resort to gossip, manipulation, or mean behavior. Power and control. Sometimes bullying is about control, wanting to feel important, dominant, or in charge. For certain people, putting others down temporarily makes them feel stronger. Sometimes kind, hardworking people become targets precisely because they are focused on the job. People who are steady and drama free can unintentionally highlight the immaturity around them. None of that makes it okay. You deserve to be in an environment where people act like grown professionals and focus on the work instead of nonsense. Supervisors rotating frequently is such an unstable power structure. Employees stuck is pressure building. Information becomes currency, which is gossip, and then that becomes leverage. Access to power, especially through sex or secrets, is an advantage for a lot of people in the workplace. Exposure risk is people protect each other. They'll come together to protect the lie instead of coming together to tell the truth, especially if the truth is going to hurt them. That's not just personality, that's a system teaching people how to behave. They didn't want it exposed the way they got it. That is fear, but not fear at the beginning. It's fear of losing status, fear of being exposed, fear of falling back down. So the cycle becomes do whatever it takes to get ahead, protect it at all costs, attack anyone who threatens it. That's how toxic environments sustain themselves. Was it survival or something else? Some people act out of fear or survival. Some people are strategic, calculated, and intentional. Are people shaped into that over time? Or are certain personalities drawn to those environments? Or is it both? I used to hear people say it was survival, that people were just doing what they had to do. But from where I stood, it didn't feel like survival. It felt practiced, it felt intentional, it felt like a system where hurting someone else was just part of the climb. Someone turned on their own people, snitching for approval, talking down on other black coworkers, relationships with supervisors for advancement. It wasn't just one person, it was a pattern. Slavery didn't end, it shifted. From the house versus field divisions, reward systems for loyalty to power, division was designed, not accidental. The survival mindset humanized the behavior, the fear of losing a job, fear of being targeted, belief that this is the only way up. Some people aren't trying to harm, they're trying to survive. playing both sides, talking against white coworkers privately, then switching behavior publicly, code switching versus behavior betrayal. How can someone say one thing in private and another in public? When it crosses the line, difference between adapting versus undermining. Real harm done, missed promotions, targeting co-workers, and so on. Not everything is survival. Some things are choices. No one should have to sit through hours of verbal attacks, gossip, intimidation, or repeated disrespect just to earn a paycheck. When it starts affecting your peace, sleep, confidence, and emotional well-being, it moves beyond work drama and into something much more serious. And you're also right about documentation if that's the thought that crosses your mind. The hard truth is that in many workplaces, words disappear unless there is a paper trail. Documentation helps turn he said, she said into a timeline and pattern. Here's the kind of record that can help protect someone. Date and exact time, where it happened, who said what, use direct quotes when possible, who witnessed it, how often it happens, emails, texts, chats, write-ups, schedule changes, any retaliation after reporting, cut hours, write-ups, isolation, demotion. The EEOC specifically looks at whether conduct is severe or pervasive enough to create a hostile, intimidating, or abusive work environment, especially when it is connected to a protected characteristic, race, sex, age, 40 plus, disability, religion, national origin, and so on, or when there is retaliation after a complaint. One really important distinction: not every toxic workplace is automatically an EEOC case. For it to fall under EEOC protections, the bullying generally needs to be tied to discrimination based on a protected class or retaliation for reporting discrimination/harassment. General rudeness, favoritism, or immaturity alone may be awful, but may not always meet the legal standard. That said, if someone reports misconduct and then suddenly gets punished, excluded, or targeted, retaliation itself can be unlawful. Also, there are filing deadlines, often 180 days, sometimes 300 days, depending on state, local agency coverage. So it's important not to wait too long if the situation may need formal action. Get some compensation instead of just suffering in silence. The cost to us, the impact on the community, lack of trust between coworkers, isolation, emotional toll. It affects you mentally and emotionally. The role of power and systems. Who benefits from division? Workplace structures that reward certain behaviors. Why this pattern keeps repeating. This isn't just about individuals, it's about systems. Women, power, and survival. Sexual dynamics in the workplace, power imbalance, judgment versus understanding. Other places, same pattern. Is this just the South? Is it similar dynamics in other industries or regions? Breaking the cycle. Awareness, choosing unity over competition, calling out behavior without destroying people. What would it look like if we moved differently? What I had to learn myself, my own growth, times I stayed silent or navigated carefully, how I center myself now, a new way forward, change, message, encouragement. Sometimes the most honest truth is exactly that. People often won't come together, especially in unhealthy work environments. Fear, competition, favoritism, and self-preservation can make people stay silent even when they know something is wrong. A lot of folks will protect their own position before they protect what's right. That can feel deeply isolating when you're the one being affected. And this part right here, let me share some wisdom. Never settle for money if it costs your peace or your safety. A paycheck should not require sacrificing your mental health, dignity, or physical well-being. Chronic stress from a toxic workplace can spill into everything: sleep, appetite, anxiety, blood pressure, even how you feel about yourself. OSHA also recognizes workplace stress as a serious concern because it affects both health and safety. That said, I also want to gently add one practical thought. Before walking away, protect yourself on paper. If the behavior may involve discrimination, harassment tied to a protected characteristic, or retaliation after speaking up, documenting it and reporting through HR or management can preserve your options if you later decide to file with the EEOC. Federal law protects employees from retaliation for reporting discrimination or harassment. Sometimes the healthiest move is document everything. Save emails, texts, messages, report in writing, start quietly applying elsewhere, leave with a plan. Leaving for peace is not quitting on yourself. Sometimes it is choosing yourself. Honestly, peace is expensive, and sometimes the price is walking away from places that keep draining your spirit. Using lies, rumors, or accusations to damage others, and then seeming to take pleasure in it. That can feel almost impossible to make sense of, especially if you value fairness and compassion. A lot of times, people who enjoy seeing others hurt are acting from something broken inside: jealousy, resentment, a need for control, or the temporary thrill of feeling powerful. None of that excuses it, but sometimes it explains why it feels so irrational from the outside. As for what goes around comes around, people look at that in different ways. Some believe in karma, some in consequences, some in faith and justice. Even without getting spiritual about it, actions often do have consequences. People lose trust, their reputation follows them, relationships at work become shallow. Eventually, others notice patterns. Sometimes the consequences are immediate, and sometimes they take longer than feels fair. The hardest part is that you may never get to see that outcome, and waiting for it can keep your mind trapped in what they did. The healthier question might be, how do I protect my peace from people who enjoy causing harm? That might mean boundaries, documentation, keeping communication in writing, and emotionally refusing to let their behavior define your worth.